My friends, let me wish you a happy new year and welcome you to 2025 properly with the 200th video on my channel. To celebrate, let's build a realistic Gerstlauer Bobsled. If you've been a subscriber of the channel for a little while, you might know that I loved building bobsleds in the original Planet Coaster. I mean, 3 out of 5 parks that I did had one. That being said, we could only use a 2-car Intamin Mega train to give that effect in the first game, which did not look the most convincing, but a very active member of my community called .net gave me an idea to use in the sequel. The Intamin multi-dimension model can run with a single car. This is the perfect opportunity for us to do a bobsled, so let's see if you can build a realistic Gerstlauer Bobsled in Planet Coaster 2. I think we should go all out with the realism on this project, especially because custom supports have just been introduced to the sequel. What's funny is that I usually build the coaster layout first with these projects, but I really wanted to do things the other way around with this creation and go from the smallest details to the biggest. Let's start by working on the cars themselves by taking inspiration from one of my favorite bobsleds called Speed Rockets, located at Jardin d'Acclimatation. Our bobsled will be called Tiny Rockets as an homage to that ride. The idea is to transform our cars into tiny rockets as the name implies. Let's have a tiny cinematic speed build to get that done. Here we are with our first tiny rocket. Look how cute it is! Those ride vehicles have a lot of subtleties, and being able to detail everything so faithfully was an absolute joy. I cannot wait to do another custom vehicle already, but let's focus on the one I've just made. I started by adding those 3 basic shapes on the front of the car to commit to the rocket concept, as well as those boosters on the back, linking both up by using the same lit circular sign with an orange center. I decided to hide the lights that they have on the Automax multiverse in the game because they're really annoying. To be honest, if they hadn't been there, I wouldn't have had to. I think this is a massive flaw with most of the interesting coaster models in the game at the moment, like the other style of multiverse coaster or the Max Super Splash 2. I'm not against having lights on trains, but I'm very much against the fact that you can't recolor them. I really do hope Frontier adds that option in the future. Anyway, all that to say, I replaced those base lights with themed lights. I think they do the job, even though I would have liked not to have any. I've also added a few more details on the outside of the car, like those tiny wings, but it's now time to focus on the inside of the car. I really wanted to innovate with this coaster, to create something new. Every seat has in front of them a button with a B on it, with the instruction "Press for boost mode" written between the buttons. This is because I want our bobsled to be special. On a single layout, it will have 2 ride experiences. The first one is perfect for small kids to discover new sensations without getting frightened, and the second one offers a more family thrill experience with tiny pops of airtime as it goes faster through the layout. I'll get into more details on how that works when we'll be building the layout, but for now, let's build ourselves a station. This station might just be my favorite station I've ever done. If anyone's been on Speed Rockets at Jardin d'Acclimatation, you might realize how similar the two are. The architectural style is very industrial, almost steampunk in some aspects, allowing wood, metal, as well as some hints of red bricks here and there. Surround that with planters and that's the base done, but I went even further by adding realistic gutters on all sides of the roofs which lead the water to the planters or away from our constructions in the case of our maintenance bay. Oh yeah, I didn't just settle for the station, I also made a transfer track and a maintenance bay parallel to our brake run. It's even got tiny details like a light switch for the maintenance light, little buttons to control the switch track, and a ladder that can be moved to access the inside of the cars when they're stored in the bay. Oh, and of course, all of the track pieces in the maintenance bay, the brake run, and the station are all custom supported, which is a little foreshadowing for the rest of the layout. Like Speed Rockets, Tiny Rockets' station is very compact, or at least as compact as it could get with the bulky stations we have in the game. I simply left some empty space where the air gates were. After all, our cars only have 2 rows. The 2 4x4 squares that were on each side of those were turned into planners, which unfortunately meant that they had to be square to hide the station. On the other side of the station, we have the exit that is separated by a wall, as you can see, another hint at the build's inspiration. We also have a proper operator booth. Glass is such a game changer for interiors, I cannot wait to use it in large-scale projects. We have a custom door, my classic ride description board, the checklist, light switches, and my first channel supporters shout out in a Planet Coaster 2 project to thank them for their support. I will definitely do more spaces like so to honor my supporters, so if you want to see your name on one of my creations in the future, consider joining with the link in the description. You will also get early access to all new videos every Thursdays as well as progress pictures. With our station done, I think it's time to do one last cinematic time-lapse to build our coaster and its custom supports. Look at our coaster. What an absolute joy it is to see it come to life little by little. I love doing those little cinematic split builds. They really do feel like my own personal touch every single time. The layout is completely original. I didn't have any inspiration apart from knowing that doing 2 lift hills on a bobsled is realistic thanks to speed rockets. Of course, the one thing I had to focus on was making sure the layout was right for both modes, because if you remember, we not only have the regular mode, but we also have the boost mode that I've teased when we were looking at the custom cars earlier in the video. Now of course there is no way to make guests vote in the game, but the player can change the speed of the lift hills from 15 km an hour to 29 and vice versa to make it look like the cars are launching up the lift hill. When you download the blueprint, it will automatically be in boost mode, by the way. I thought I'd mention that. Just before we examine the layout, let's put in the final touches around the ride so it's more pleasant to look at. We start the layout by going up the first lift hill, then dropping into a banked curved drop that leads to a banked curved rise into our first mid-course brake run. From then we have our first pops of airtime if you're in boost mode or simply 0G in regular mode. Those lead us into a helix and tiny pops of weightlessness to finish our first half of the layout. The second half starts with a double down from the lift hill, which ends in a curved drop and rise into another mid-course brake run before its final fast-paced section with a turn, a pop of weightlessness and another before a sharp turn into the brake run for the entirety of the queue line to see. Oh yes, I totally forgot we added the final touches. Let's go through those. The exit goes right next to the transfer track for nerds like us to get some nerdy pics of the maintenance. It's also a way for the operator to get backstage if need be, but there's also our handicapped access ramp, or as we would say in French, accès PMR. The exit leads us to the plaza in front of the ride. I originally wanted to build a big rocket centerpiece, but I thought it would have distracted your gaze from the layout in the station. It wouldn't have gone well with the more humble aspect of this project anyway. I added a sign facing the plaza, which still is a rocket, so I guess we do have a rocket after all, only a tiny one, which is fitting for the name. Size does not matter after all, folks. The sign has smoke coming out of its reactor when a car departs, and some also comes out of a smoke machine underneath the track right before the lift hill to simulate the tiny rockets taking off. I've also added our entrance complete with a ride info board, which is a new blueprint that I've uploaded to the workshop if you want to use it. It has instructions in both French and English and comes with this accurate height check. You can use that in any park, it can fit anywhere and can even be rethemed if you need it to be. Once we enter the queue line, you can see that every portion of it is shaded either by trees or by the cattle pen structure. Of course, cattle pens are often boring, even frustrating, but it gets more interesting if guests have things to look at to get more excited to go on the ride, which is why I've put it next to the brake run where you can look at the riders finish the ride with a big smile. Or a terrified kid crying, that's also an option. A little turn next to our planner and up the stairs we go to get behind the air gates and ride tiny rockets. Let's begin with a POV of the regular mode. Now let's press the button for boost mode. And voila! This is Tiny Rockets, my first proper Gerstlauer Bobsled and Planet Coaster 2. I'm really happy to start 2025 with such a cool project, which really is a full circle moment when you take into account all of the bobsleds I've done on the original Planet Coaster. If you want to download this creation to use in your park, or simply if you're curious to see it for yourself, here's the share code. Remember, it will automatically be in boost mode, so if you want to put it in regular mode, you'll need to change the lift hill speed from 29 km an hour to 15. Also, the free triggered effects might need to be reset because the triggers aren't saved in blueprints in this game, which I hope Frontier will fix in the future. That being said, let me know what you thought about this first creation of 2025 in the comments, or by joining the 221 members of my Discord server, the Yen HQ, with the link in the description. If you like my work, well, you can leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and even join the channel supporters. Congratulations to Shane Turner for earning the 2 months badge, to Miss Barbar and Joshua for earning the 1 month badge, and welcome to MThis. Thank you so much for becoming a channel supporter, it really means the world to me. And thank you all so much for watching. This has been Yan, and I'll see you in the next one.